If you want to be remembered and leave an impact on this world, then you need to be better than a leader. You need to be an innovator. Innovators are the people that leaders work for. And when I was making this video, I wanted to give you the exact definition that you can find online. You can find it for yourself. So I'm gonna read them verbatim. When you look up these two words, what they say. So for leader, it says a person who leads or commands a group or organization. And then for innovator, it says a person who introduces new methods, ideas, or prompts. So as I was reading this and I was really trying to figure out the words to say to accurately convey the message that's in my mind, I was like, this is probably gonna hurt a couple of feelings, and that's not the intention. That's never the intention. I do notice that when I do say things, sometimes it might come off a little bit abrasive or harsh, and that's really not my case. That's really not my intention. I have the tendency, I think it this way, I'm gonna say it exactly how I think, right? It comes out exactly. So my initial note that I put down was that anybody can be a leader. There's nothing special about a leader. And you're probably like, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? What do you mean? You can train anybody to be a leader. That's what school is for. That's what all these courses and these webinars and these seminars and these self-help books, all these different things. It doesn't matter if you are someone who is very bashful, very shy, very demure, or does not like to speak up, does not like to have a strong opinion or in their own identity by themselves. You can train yourself to become that. Like, you can take yourself out of that. There's nothing really significant or special about a leader. Anybody can be trained to be a leader. It's not saying anything wrong. I'm not trying to down that role or that title, but anybody can lead, anybody, anyone who can read it. Even if you can't read, there's ways to get around it. But being an innovator is something that no one can train you to be. They can't train you to be an innovator, and they can't take you from being an innovator. If you are, I'm in focus. If you are an innovator, it is something that is instinctively and innately in you. You will forever be that. You don't have to try to do anything. You will just be. You will just be. You inherently see the world through new possibilities, new ideas. If you are someone and nothing can keep you down and this thing like the roach that can't be killed, or if literally every single time something happens, you're like, well, I could flip it and see like that. Or, well, the bright side is this, I noticed this. Those people tend to be the innovators because they're always trying to flip it and see, well, how can I make a better way out of this situation? How can I make how can I make $1 out of 15 cents with this? It's a really good skill to have. It really is. It's something it's definitely a gift. They're not, and another thing I will say, a lot of times innovators get the title of, oh, they're just crazy, or they're just crazy. They're not really crazy. They just don't see things in the way that someone typical does. They don't see things in the way that everyone else does. And that's kind of what makes them that much more special. Being able to be in the same room with dozens of people or hundreds of people or how many people, and you're able to see things differently, that makes you very special. That makes you significant. That makes you different. What's wrong with that? Okay. I wanted to these are what I've noticed, 3 different ways to kind of tell if you know someone who's an innovator, if you've been around people who are innovator, or if you yourself are an innovator. Top 3 things, time after time after time again. 1, they will challenge the group, whatever. There is a challenging of the status quo, basically. And it's never in a way of trying to overthrow anything or be combative or abrasive or hostile. It's just something that you tend to do, or if you've noticed anyone around you who you think might be an innovator, if they've always done that, where they will challenge the status quo, it's not because they don't respect authority. It's almost as if they are that new authority. Sign two, that you are the innovator or you're around someone who's that innovator, you tend to be more curious than cautious, and you act on that. Like, you always wonder, well, what if I did this, or what if I tried this, or like it's like when everyone else is like, oh, well, you might fail if you try this, or you're like, I mean, but what if I don't fail? Like, you're saying I might, but what if I don't? Like, yeah, there's a coin that has two sides, but just because you think if you were to try you would fail doesn't mean I would. You're more curious than cautious, and you allow that to kind of lead you, and it doesn't always lead you down the wrong path. And the last thing is your perceptiveness is something that is unmatched. Like, you will just know, see, feel things without them even making logical sense. And it tends to turn out the way you called it. That is something as an innovator. That is something an innovator does instinctively. You can just sense things. You could see things. You just knew. And you didn't know how it was going to happen, but you knew it was going to happen like that. And these three things allow you to see things these three things that I highlighted, they allow you to see through a different light. They allow you to have kind of a duality when it comes to viewing a situation. You have a tunnel vision and a bird's eye view. So and that's probably where the whole being able to just instinctively, or your perception is just unmatched, is because you're not looking at it from, oh, that's the way it's always been, or maybe I should just, there's no just one way of seeing a situation. You see it from all aspects of it. And that allows you to always have, I guess, kind of the upper hand, the foot ahead, because you're not just looking at it with one eye, you're looking at it with both. So you can see how to move accordingly. This allows you to see a gap and fill it. A lot of innovators, most people who are successful, they are that innovator. They're able to see a need and fill it in only a way that makes sense to them. And because it makes sense to them, they are so passionate about it. They pour into it, and it rewards them and pours right back onto them. That's the cool thing about being an innovator. You see a need and you're able to fill it immediately. Leaders obsess over what exists or what was already there, while innovators, they invent what's next to come. They are literally the trendsetters and the trailblazers and the pioneers and the people that everyone else looks to say, well, what do we do next? Well, what comes next? Well, how should we go about things now? Every great movement starts with an innovator, and those who see things differently. And leaders follow their blueprint, right? Leaders are definitely, and I keep talking about innovators in such this positive light because that's what they are. And I don't mean to minimize the role of a leader. Leaders are definitely needed. They're needed to kind of keep the dream alive that the innovator created. Like there's a need for both of them. There's a need for both of them, right? Innovators have no limits, but leaders do, right? So the leaders tend to operate within a corporation, within a franchise, within a company, within rules, tradition, any type of group. This is how we do things. And yes, you might be the leader, but this is still the chain of command, and this is how we do things. And innovators tend to be that organization. They tend to be the rule or be the exception. I was getting my words mixed up. They tend to be the exception, or they create a new tradition. And leaders are important, but without innovators, what would they be doing? Without an innovator, a leader would have nothing to lead. Anybody can be a leader. Like I said, it's not anything to kind of look down on. When people are like, oh, well, I'm a natural born leader. And it's like, that's good. That's good. Like, there's nothing I have to say that's negative about that. But what I'm saying is that If you want to leave a lasting impact, if you want to be someone that's remembered, being the innovator is what is going to allow you to do that. If you have the opportunity to be a leader or be an innovator, I knew I would choose innovator. But not everyone can choose innovator. It's either you are or you're not. So there's kind of a caveat to that. Either way, that's today's video. Leader, what is a leader? What is an innovator? And a lot of times, if you don't fit in, if you are always the problem, if you're always too much, maybe you're the innovator, babe. You know, like maybe you're an innovator. Maybe you're an innovator. Have you thought about that? Think about it. Either way, diamonds, I love you so much. Thank you all for being here, and I will talk to you soon.